way of introduction. For those of you who haven't been on a Sipping Rooms before, my name's Phil. I'm the host of Sipping Rooms, and I hope everybody has got a drink in front of them, and I hope everybody's going to have an amazing time this evening. We've done, I think this is our 9th Sipping Room this year. It's born out of basically COVID. About the idea behind Sipping Rooms is to bring brands and drinks right into your living room, so you can meet the owners, you can meet the brand owners, you can meet the distillers, you can actually drink the spirit and be talked through the spirit with them. You can get right behind the brand and make some fantastic cocktails as well, and to have a load of fun along the way. As you can see, I'm wearing my Christmas jumper, so a very Merry Christmas to everybody. It is incredibly hot underneath this, so I'm going to change into my Christmas t-shirt in a bit. So you'll be exposed to 2 different types of Christmas cheer from me. So anyway, a big welcome to people who are new to Sipping Rooms. A big welcome back to our regulars. I think there are quite a lot of you on this evening, as far as I can see. For those of you who've had a Sipping Rooms before, you'll know the format. Today we have got Market Row, which is a distillery in Brixton in London. Most of the drinks which we've had so far this year have been gins. We've had 1 tequila brand, and this evening with Market Row, we've got very exciting brand new rum brand, which is fantastic. So we're going to delve into the world of rum. We're going to be speaking to the brand ambassador. We're going to have some tastings with him. We're going to talk to Pat, who's the co-owner. We're going to talk to the distiller, the guy who came up with the actual flavors, and everything behind the brand. So that's going to be amazing, in-depth tour around the brand and the distillery. So before we go to Brixton, a few bits of housekeeping. If you hear yourself going off mute and suddenly noise is happening, please put yourself back on mute. And then we have got our competition. So those of you who are new to Sipping Rooms, we always have a competition, and you can win a bottle of Market Row. So the idea is that you should listen out for a word or a phrase which is repeated 3 times. And that can be pretty much anything, but it's not going to be something obvious like distillery or rum or botanicals or something like that. It's going to be something slightly unusual. So keep your ears open. As soon as you hear that word or phrase, you think it's been repeated 3 times, go into the chat section, put in what you think it is, and then if you're right, you'll win a bottle of Market Row, and we'll spotlight you and we'll cheers you. So good luck with it to everybody, keeping an ear open for that. And yes, so we should be taking about an hour and a half, something like that, over the course of the evening. But if anybody's got any questions for the team, Pat or Matt or the brand ambassador Mikey, about either cocktails which are made, about anything to do with the distillery, about the rum, please put them into the chat as well, and hopefully we'll pick up on those and we can ask them either interspersed into when I'm talking to them, or at the end where we've got a Q&A. So I hope everybody's got some sort of drink in front of them. Even better if you've got a bottle of Market Row. And we are now going to go to Brixton, and we're going to talk to Mikey, who's the brand ambassador, who'll be making some drinks this evening. But first off, he's going to actually introduce us to tasting Market Row neat, and then what the kind of signature serve, simple signature serve is at which you can make at home. So it's over to Mikey. Hope you're there, Mikey.
How's it going?
There he is. Fantastic. That was seamless.
Welcome.
That was seamless.
Good relief that you can hear my voice.
Yeah, Mikey. Before you start, congratulations on painting that bar. You've done an amazing job.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it's only just made it into the shop, and I have been struggling with it all weekend. I'm just going to put it down very quickly, just so you can all see. This is Mikey's Rum Shack, fresh with Market Row colours. We made just this weekend, so it's been a rush, but we've made it, and I'm so happy that it's making up about 5% of the shop.
No, it's great, and it's a beautiful sight. All of that Market Row branding in front of us. But sorry, before I witter on too much about your amazing bar, Mikey, thanks so much for being here, and it's over to you really to introduce us to Market Row rum, how to taste it, and then what is going to be the perfect serve to make at home.
Perfect. Cool. I won't talk too much about Market Rows. We've got so much information coming to you guys. I know you probably just want to drink straight away. But what we're going to make today is just a very simple rum and tonic. Obviously, that's not particularly kind of expected combination in the rum industry so far. You always think of kind of rum and coke or gin and tonic. But this is a botanical rum. And I think the reason that we do this is that with tonic and the bubbles and everything, it kind of accentuates the sort of subtle botanical flavors that come through in Market Row rum. So just simply, depending on how strong you like it, I'm just going to go for a double shot. But if you guys want to go crazy, go crazy. If you want to have a single shot, be my guest. So once you've added that, we're just going to add a bottle of London Essence Tonic, which I hope you've all received in your packs. Now, I've got a history of working with kind of in the gin industry and making crazy garnishes. But secretly, my favorite garnish is just a slice of lime. But as it is hibiscus season, we just found out today. So obviously we use dried hibiscus as one of our main botanicals in Market Row. But Matt was walking around the market earlier and found these, which are fresh hibiscus flowers. Apparently they're in season. So I'm just going to show this to the camera because it looks a little bit like an alien or like an octopus, but still got maybe bags full of flavor. So we're just going to pop that in the top. I'm sure a lot of you haven't got that at home, but be creative, whatever you guys think. I always think you can't go wrong with a gin and tonic or rum and tonic. So we've got a sliced lamb, we've got our flour, and that is a Market Row rum and tonic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can you hold it closer to the camera, Mikey, so we can actually see it? That beautiful. There we go. That's pretty amazing, that flower in it. So great. Thank you so much for that. Now, hopefully, everybody has now got that, has got some sort of Market Row, either whether it's neat like me or mixed with a tonic in front of them. And now we can actually go and start talking to Pat and Matt, who are the brand owner and head distiller. There we go. We'll have them on camera and hopefully without Mikey's thumb in it. There you're, Matt, you're on camera now. I can see you. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, fantastic. So Pat, for those who are, it's now gone to P for Pat. That's his telephone. For those who are watching, who are attending, Pat is on the left and Matt is on the right, and hopefully we'll have the tech up soon to actually be able to see them and talk to them. There we go. That one there, that's Pat. And the other one is Matt.
Hi, Phil. How are you doing?
Brilliant. Yeah, all good. All good. There's always bound to be some technical glitches between, Brixton, Worcester, and the ether, which is beyond. But you are sitting in the distillery. It's up and running. It's only been recently opened. Everything seems to be going well. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Well, first of all, welcome to the Brixton Distillery. This is our sitting room. Or it certainly feels like that.
Oh, you've been muted. Pat, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. For some reason, you are not. You're not coming through. There, you just love technology. It will get there in the end. Back to P. Let's hope everybody's relaxed and in the Christmas spirit. That's why you should always have a big, large drink of rum in front of you at the beginning of proceedings. So if something like this does happen, you're fairly relaxed about things. Right. Hopefully you'll be back up and running soon. The camera hasn't fallen over too badly. They do have backups, I can assure you. As someone says, all good, we have rum to keep us busy. Any comment? How many people have made the actual rum and tonic? Because I'm just going for the neat one here. Drunken Sailor, I have it. Yes, good. Delicious. My first rum and tonic. Absolutely love it. It's great. It is nice, neat. Yes. It's nice, neat, nice mixed. I think it's pretty much a good all-round rum, must admit. Oh, it looks as though we've got some action going on. There's Mikey's face. Hopefully we'll be going back live to Brixton at some point in the near future. Technology is great when it actually works, but then when you have a box which falls over or something else which goes wrong, it's maybe not so good. Right, I think Pat's ready to be unmuted, which would be great. Let's see. Unmute. There we go.
Perfect. Can you transfer over to the other Mikey Hirsch, not Michael Hirsch, but Mikey Hirsch? Because I've got that set up now. That's our backup.
Okay. I'm sure Charlie can. Work out that wizardry out. Sorry about this, folks. Right, Mikey, your bar is up in the frame, so there we go. That's what you need to go to. So maybe you should move Pat and Matt around to the bar. At least we can talk to them there.
It's the wrong one, guys. Not Michael Hirsch, Mikey Hirsch. The backup.
Okay, we're on to you now. There we go. I think as long as we can get audio through that, we should be good. We can see you, fortunately.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, is that better? Is that okay?
Yeah, you could hear you absolutely perfectly, Pat.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Everyone.
On you go. So.
Okay. So thanks very much. Thanks very much, Phil. Glad that we can be here. We've been going now since the start of September. We are in what is a converted photographic studio on the corner of Cold Harbour. For those of you that know South London, the corner of Brixton Hill and Cold Harbour Lane, two iconic roads in Brixton. And it's so authentic here. There's no doubt that in the next 10 minutes, you'll have police sirens or ambulance sirens going back and forth the road. The reason my background, I've been in drinks now, worked for Pernod Ricard for over 15 years before leaving a couple of years ago. And myself and my partner, my business partner, his partner here works at the council, and he said he put to me the idea of a rum brand, and a rum brand in South London. Where better place to put it than in Brixton, with all of the cultural and community links back to the Caribbean. So that was our idea about 18 months ago. And since then, we've been working with Matt here on developing a recipe. And at the same time, observing what's been going on in the rum category. My experience in the rum category was with a very well-known Cuban rum, a well-known, much-loved Cuban rum, which I got to know quite well through various visits out there, lucky enough to get to Havana a few times. And it's a really, really fun category, and we've certainly not looked back ever since deciding to play with the category here and develop our brand. We've certainly had quite a journey on the way here. You know, we've had a couple of premises that we came close to that fell through, and eventually we landed here in a workspace called Impact Brixton, which I guess is a bit of a miniature WeWork as such, but it's a WeWork with a social purpose. So it's run here by a really sort of inspirational entrepreneur called Gerald van der Kooi. He runs the place here, and he invited us to take this room and turn it into a distillery, and that's what it's become. We produce here, we bottle here, we package here, and we send the product out from here. And so it's very much around, you know, the local ingredients that we source from the market and the adjacent area. And as much as possible, we try and involve local people to help us develop things here as well. So, for instance, you know, we use photographer, the web designer. We use people here to help us package. So very much the vision of using local people involved in the brand. And as much as possible, we try and source the botanicals locally as well.
Yeah, so it's more than just another rum brand. It really is. You're trying to root yourself as much as possible in the local community, and that's a vital part, right?
Yeah, it's core, I think, to the proposition. We certainly didn't want to just be another PowerPoint brand. It's a nice idea, outsourced to a third party in its production, outsourced to a third party in its packaging. Again, my background working as much as possible, although I did work for a little while at Malibu, but with really sort of authentic brands, and that's very definitely what we're trying to create. So as much as possible, we will work with ingredients, and we source many of them from the markets and from people around here, and as much as possible involve local people wherever we can as well. And that's something that we'll just develop over time.
Yeah, and what were the challenges of actually, one, starting in the middle of a pandemic, and two, getting a distillery into the middle of basically what is a WeWork?
Yeah. It's certainly not been without its challenges. We had 5 plumbers trying to understand how we could get running water, and as luck would have it, it was the most expensive plumber that actually came up with a solution. At one point, we thought we shared mains with the restaurant below. When we went to talk to them, they were sort of horrified that we might be changing things around because they'd lost their ceiling 3 times. Mikey's tried to shoot video content here. and every 5 minutes there's a siren that goes off. And then the biggest challenge was trying to get the lift. When we arrived, the lift wasn't quite ready, shall we say. So we pulled up 240 kg barrels of rum using 4 people, a pair of straps and a trolley. And at the last moment, we realised that we had to switch from the wooden stairs to the concrete stairs, otherwise we would have smashed the wooden stairs. So that was a half an hour, probably slightly longer than half an hour, but I think we all lost quite a bit of weight doing that one.
Yeah, and having a distillery in the middle of such a built-up area, you are right slap bang in the middle of very, very busy Brixton. That must have been a challenge as well, just to get that up and running from a legal point of view, right?
Yeah, I mean, the night before our first production, we found in the lease that we weren't allowed to produce, and that led to 24 hours of frantic back and forth with respect to various sort of landlords and lawyers, and got that sorted and went ahead. Hopefully this isn't being recorded, but Gerald here said that, if you're spending too much money with the lawyers, then you're not a proper startup business. So we then decided, and on that basis, we decided to go. But also, being here in Brixton, right in amongst it, is also fantastic, because there's so many characters. There's so many, great places to eat, and great places to drink as well. Some really, really famous venues around here, which is why it's a real sort of destination place for people in and around London. There's not too many suburbs around here, but it's also a suburb that's trying to do things as well. The council are really innovative. I mean, they have their critics, but they're working extra hard to try and support local businesses. There's lots of supporters of local businesses here trying to help and support. So it's a really, really fascinating place to be. It's a really interesting place to be. And there's always stuff going on. So even during the pandemic, we've made some great friends, and we've made some great contacts in this very sort of short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing when you go and see the distillery. It really is. You're touching distance of the market and all of the hustle and bustle of Brixton. So it really kind of knits everything together, doesn't it? That you're not you've not got to kind of lock up half a mile away from all the hustle and bustle. You can actually look out and see where the inspiration comes from, which is probably different from. It is very unique what you've got there. So,
well, case in point, Phil, when we put the still here, or Eddie, as is known, as the still is known, we looked out of the window and you've got two of the most iconic road names. The place names. You've got Electric Lane, which borders with Electric Avenue, and you've got Cold Harbour Lane, and equally, that's what was a little bit of the inspiration behind the branding there as well, which is, the ward of Brixton that sits within the borough of Lambeth, and then the roads being the A23 Brixton Hill and the 2217 being Cold Harbour Lane. Yeah,
fantastic. Anyway, I'm sorry, Pat, you've been hogging the limelight, and Matt has been sitting very patiently by your side. Matt is the person who is who drew everything together from the drink side of things, the botanicals, etc. Can you explain, Matt, a little bit about your background and how you ended up being involved in the whole project?
Yeah, sure. So I've been distilling for 25 years, not just spirits, but also aroma chemicals, looked in the flavour industry for a long time. And I got involved in the project, really, because Pat coaches my son rugby, and Pat came into one day and said, I've got a great idea, and that's how it started. So yeah, that's how I got involved.
This is, I knew there was going to be a rugby connection in there somewhere. So you've set up how many different stills around the world?
Well, it's at the moment it's well over 50. So I started a business about 4 years ago, building micro distilleries all around the world. Most glamorous locations being Bali. Brixton, I was going to say it's our least glamorous location, but let's say our most local location, yeah. But I've even put distilleries on cruise ships and airports and all sorts of weird and wonderful places. So coming here, the most challenging thing was actually not having a lift, being on the first floor and carrying everything upstairs by hand. So I think you think it's a challenging location. I think it's a brilliant location. We're right on the doorstep of a market where we buy all our ingredients. It's brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. So, Matt, we're going to come back to you in a bit and talk to you about exactly how you structured the rum and the botanicals, which go into the methodology and the philosophy behind it. But I think it's now time for our first cocktail. So we're going to swiftly go to Mikey. Hopefully this will be a seamless shift. I'm hoping and praying it's going to be a seamless shift. So we're going to go and go back to Mikey, and he's going to get us onto our first cocktail. So Mikey, it's over to you and your amazing Technicolor bar, which you've got.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, you're there. Fantastic.
It's much more seamless than the last one. I think I almost dropped Pat's phone about 5 times in the first one.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll love you for that.
I'm just going to quickly turn the volume down.
No worries. We can just admire your bar all over again. It's a mixture of the kind of the West Indies.
I thought the whole 90 minutes was just me talking about the bar. That was my original plan. I've had to wing this whole thing now.
I'm sorry for scuppering your plans there, Mikey.
We'll set up a separate one. We'll do a sipping rooms on how to make one of my mini rum shacks. So what we're making today to start with is hibiscus daiquiri. In terms of rum, I think there are 2 drinks that stand out in terms of, like, if you were to ask a bartender, is this a good rum? Does it work in A, daiquiri, or B, a rum old fashioned? Those are these 2 drinks, and we're doing twists on both of those. We're going to start with hibiscus daiquiri. In terms of, I would say, most kind of white rums, agricoles, will it still stand out? Is it still an amazing rum when you add lime and sugar, which is basically the most basic cocktail you can make, but in my opinion, the most delicious. Now, I have drank more daiquiris than anything else, I think, in my life, than cans of Coke, I would say. So you guys, I'm hoping, have made the hibiscus syrup at home. And before I make the drink, I just want to talk a little bit about infusion, because when you're making a botanical spirit, and whether that's a rum or a gin, what you're basically doing is infusing. And that's why, for me, when you add that kind of extra flavor, what bartenders have been doing for years and years and years has been blending rums. If you go back to Tiki, the origin of Tiki bars, that was what they were doing. They were blending kind of like 4 or 5 rums in their Mai Tais, and adding kind of syrups and infusions that they made on their own. So that's what we've kind of done today, is to show, like, look, that's what Market Row is. It is a blend of rums that has been infused. So it's kind of like we've done half of the work for you, and then you can go and add more flavors and more rums, whatever you want to do to it, and you will end up with something even more special. And that's kind of the basis of Market Row. So to start with today, we're just going to add 25 mils of lime juice. Now, I know we've got a lot of expert kind of rum bartenders and ambassadors here that will tell you exactly how they make their daiquiri. So feel free to go in whatever way you feel free, but I'm going to go for 20 minutes today, just to kind of get that kind of perfect balance between sweetness and sour. And then we're going to just add a double shot of Market Row.
Mikey, how many daiquiris do you reckon you've made in your life?
How many daiquiris have I made?
Yeah.
Pretty close to the number that I've drank. Actually, that's not true. So,
one for me, one for the customer, right?
I'll tell you what. So I'll tell you a funny kind of story about when I used to work in bars. And this is kind of a common thing that exists within the rum industry and the bar industry in London. Is there's something called a daiquiri challenge, which I think if you go to any of the kind of top bars, they'll have like a leaderboard somewhere kind of hidden in their kind of the books in the kind of back of the bar. And that is like basically what you have to do. I'm not going to do it today. I'm too nervous and a bit rusty, but is to make a daiquiri as quickly as you can, clean everything, run around to the other side of the bar and down the drink.
And drink it.
So in my old bar, we used to have a leaderboard going from, I think the fastest was probably somewhere around like 45 seconds and the slowest was 2 minutes. And the guy in 2 minutes, it was really fun to watch him try and do it every time. I never got bored of it at all.
Great.
But yeah, carry on. So I hope everyone's got their ingredients ready in the glass now and their shakers. I'm using a Nick and Nora glass today because I'm just that kind of fancy guy. But if you've got any kind of glass, rocks glass, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to taste the same. But I do recommend serving this straight. That's the way we always recommend it. You want to add a lot of ice. The reason that is for a daiquiri is shaking is about dilution. You want to control the dilution. The more ice you add, the quicker the drink's going to get cold, and the less water you're going to add to your drink. You want it to be cold, but you don't want it to be watery. You want to keep that rum, lime, and sugar flavor. I'm very protective of my bar, so I'm not going to smack the shaker on here. I'm going to smack it on the floor, but I'm coming back, don't worry. And then we're just going to have a very quick, hard shake. So shake as hard as you can. You want about 8 to 10 seconds, no longer. You'll feel it. You'll start to kind of feel the coldness in the shaker as soon as you hit that. Make sure we get every last drop. And then we're going to double strain. If you've just got one strainer, don't worry. The ice chips are an option. But I like to have mine just a nice, smooth color. And that's the kind of color you're looking for, guys. Don't worry if yours is a little bit more pink or a little bit more light. You're still going to get that flavor, but you're looking for that lovely kind of like sunset light pink in your drink. I've just realized that I've forgotten to make a garnish for this, but fortunately, I have one of these lovely flowers that I'm just going to hang over the side, just like that. I'm sure you guys can't see it from there, so I'm going to bring it around and show you the drink. So you can all see it there. And then I'm going to show you my face as I drink it and how much I love it. That is tasty. So there we have it, guys. That's the hibiscus daiquiri. First of our 2 drinks.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mikey. We're going to go around looking at people have taken a little bit longer than you.
Sorry, I meant to make.
You're going at professional speed, Mikey. You're going at professional speed. There's some people here who there are some people out here who have probably beaten you. Actually, there's probably a guy who's done the daiquiri challenge.
There's someone else with electric speed.
There's a guy here. Oh look, there's another one. Oh, they're flying in. They're
looking beautiful. I'm loving.
There are some really good ones. There's some really good ones. Yeah, Mikey, your one looked pretty good, but there's some very, very good ones out there.
No, you're putting me to shame.
Yeah. So anyway, we will come back to you in a bit. Oh, there's another one. There we go. We'll come back to you in a bit after we have gone more in-depth interview with Matt about the distillery, about his influences and how he came up with actually the Market Row. But thank you so much, Mikey. I think a lot of people
I'm gonna run and do my technical duties.
Yeah, you go and do that. They're fantastic. It's absolutely seamless this evening. Seamless. That's the way that you do things in Brixton, right? It'll come good. If I keep on talking, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. And there'll be no echo whatsoever. Hopefully. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. You need to unmute it.
I can hear you, but there's a little bit of an echo.
Hold on.
Turn you off mute. So that's an instruction to.
I'm still
Charlie.
not muted, so you need to unmute Pat.
Okay. Well, talk to our technical wizard behind the scenes, and hopefully Charlie will get you unmuted. I don't have that power at the moment. I'm a mere host, not a behind the scenes person. But I'm sure everybody's enjoying their daiquiris.
Are we unmuted?
You're unmuted. I can certainly hear you, Matt.
Okay. There's an echo there.
Fantastic. There's a bit of an echo. I'm sure we can get rid of that if we turn something else off.
Turn the volume on the phone down.
Shouldn't be coming through just there. That's not just. It's not just us.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something else which is on in the room, but it sounds like a bit like a sci-fi movie at the moment. Apologies for that, but I'm sure we'll get there in the next couple of minutes.
Only those two. It can't be us. It's someone else.
That should be better.
Is that? Can you speak to us now? Can you hear us? Oh, everybody's muted. If you unmute that one, then we can go. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. We got there in the end.
Right. Okay.
Whoa, we're on to. There we go. Let's just switch one off and keep the other one going. Anyway, Matt, we can hear you, we can see you.
Excellent.
And hopefully we can talk about the distillery and rum, how you came up with the blend, all of the above. So botanical rums, I think it would be a good place to start with. I think people know white rum, golden rum, dark rum. What is a botanical rum?
Right. So botanical. Oh, there's an awful echo now.
All right.
Just need to switch, I think, one of the mics off.
Back to my camera.
I don't know. I think sorry about this, folks. Sorry about my dog woofing in the background as well. There we go. Are we all good?
Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Mikey, that's good. If you tilt the camera just so.
No, that's fine. Let's keep it like that. All good. Audio is better than visual.
Mikey, which sound?
Don't do that.
No. Where's the sound coming from?
Yeah.
No, coming from. Not going to.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you, Matt. That's fine.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So, if you can hear me, yeah. Hopefully, we can talk about botanical rum.
Okay, so botanical rum, it's a bit like gin. So you start off instead of neutral alcohol, you start off with a rum, and then you redistill it with the botanicals, to produce a botanical rum. The main difference between botanical rum and spice rum is most people consider spice rum as being a flavoured rum, whereas botanical rum is made 100% naturally from botanicals, redistilled in a still that looks and functions in a pretty much the same way as a gin still. Can you hear us, Mikey? I think it sounds dead.
Yeah, no, we can still hear you.
Oh, you can, right, great.
Yeah.
We can hear you, no problem at all. So that's botanical rum. What's the actual base rums which go into Market Row?
So what we've done, we've deliberately chosen rums that have lots of character, but don't have lots of oak character or barrel influence. And so we've deliberately chosen rums that aren't over matured, and which means that our rums are young. That has two consequences. If we have young rums, we've got to have really high quality rums. So we've made no compromises on the quality of rum that we've chosen. And the other thing is, because we do want to have character in our rum, but it not being barrel influenced, we've gone for very high ester rums from Jamaica and blended those with other rums from Barbados and other Caribbean origins to produce a rum which will allow the botanicals to sit on top of. So not a blank canvas, but a characterful canvas, but a canvas that won't override the botanicals.
So where do you start from when you approach a project like this? You know, you've got, how did you and Pat actually come up with the whole idea? Because, you know, for me, I've worked in the drinks industry all my life. I've launched goodness knows how many brands. I've never heard of botanical rum. I've never thought of a botanical rum. What was obviously you've got the Brixton, the place, the influence there. How do you marry all of that together, and then how did you actually start to build the actual rum from there?
The inspiration really came from the market. We were determined to make sure that the rum had strong connections with the local community. And there's a huge Caribbean diaspora here. So having Caribbean rums in the mix was a no-brainer. But when we were really searching the market for ingredients and botanicals, that really led us to a style of rum and a flavour profile. And it was the botanicals that dictated the base of the rum rather than the other way around. And so the botanicals that we've included represent the huge melting pot that you get in Brixton. So, for example, the hibiscus comes from Nigeria, the tea comes from Kenya, the rose comes from Pakistan. So we wanted to make sure that we represented the whole community. And the flavour profile really evolved through many tasting sessions at Pat's house with Laurent and the whole team. And what we wanted to do is create a rum that was distinct, but was still very much a rum. And that's really why we went for the high ester Jamaican rums in the base, to make sure that it really was a rum and not a gin with a hint of rum.
Yeah. So when I first tasted it, I think for the British palate, often you're thinking that rum should be quite sweet. It should be a certain flavor profile. And when I first tasted it, it was quite unusual to me. You know, it's quite an unusual flavor profile. It was a lot drier, and I suppose that's what you're talking about with the ester content. You're talking about that kind of that bit of funk, that dryness to it, that backbone, and then you're adding on top the botanicals to that. So it's quite a grown-up drink, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an extremely grown-up drink. In fact, I would say it's a very sophisticated drink. And when we were formulating it, we were also very aware that very few people were going to drink this drink neat. and it had to work well with the mixer, and we didn't want an overly sweet product. And it's, you know, the cheaper spiced rums, they hide a lot of their sins with sugar, and we were determined we were going to have no sugar in our product, and therefore we had to make sure that the character came from the botanicals and the high esters of the Jamaican rum.
So when you're saying high esters, are you talking about rums which come from Jamaica, which have got they're fermented with a different kind of yeast characteristics, so you've got a dryness to it? Is that right? Would that be correct?
To some extent, yes, but also the way that they're fermented and distilled means that a lot of the fruity flavors, the pineapple, the banana notes, are still present in the rum, because they typically only go through a still once or twice, and definitely never through a column still, and you get the full what chemists would call esters. If you recall your schoolboy chemistry, things like pear drops, etc., they're all examples of esters. So it's a particular chemical, aroma chemical that we wanted to include in the product by using these Jamaican pot still rums.
Right, and so the rum is just to kind of go through the process now. I suppose it's aged and then blended before it comes to Brixton, and then the still behind you. What does that do?
Yeah, so basically the rum, the blended rum comes from the Caribbean. We put it in the kettle with the botanicals. We boil it up, redistill it. It goes up one arm, down into what the Americans call a thumper. In Jamaica, they'll call them a secondary tort. Up the other column, down into the condenser, and it will produce a clear liquid, a white rum, at around about 70 ABV. And all the aroma chemicals that were in here from botanicals have been carried over to the other side with the alcohol. And that produces say a white rum, highly flavored, highly concentrated flavored white rum that we then cut with some aged rum to get the color back into the product.
So there is almost another blending session which goes on to a certain extent.
Yeah, so this rum gets blended before we receive it, and then it gets redistilled and then blended again after we've distilled it.
So it's fascinating because it bears some resemblance to making gin in some ways, but then the base spirit is completely different, isn't it? It's just it's kind of weird. We've done, I think I said we've done, this is our 9th sipping room, and I think 8 of the previous 9, sorry, no, 7 of the previous 8 distilleries have been gin distilleries, and it's pretty much the same process which goes on. But this, you've got so many other factors coming into it, so that you're not painting, as you said before, you're not putting botanicals onto a blank canvas, which is with gin, you just want to have the most pure spirit to put your botanicals into. You've got what essentially is a very flavoursome base spirit, which is full of personality, and then you're trying to intermingle the botanicals. I think with Market Row, it's interesting that I don't think the botanicals take over, do they? That's not intentional, is it?
It's all about getting the right balance, because you're already starting with a flavour-packed base. You've got to be careful what you do with that base, and it's all about getting the right balance. If I take you through some of the botanicals, I'll talk about the 3 most important. There are spices in there that you would typically expect to find in a spiced rum, such as pimento and mace. But there are botanicals in our gin that are completely unique. So in our rum, sorry, are completely unique. The one thing that really gives it the most characterful or point of difference are the hibiscus flowers, which in the Caribbean community they call sorrel, and that gives it a really deep, complex base. Then for top notes, we're adding very pungent red rose from Pakistan. If this is smell-o-vision, you can smell it from there. It's really a Turkish delight. In the gin, it only adds a small contribution to the aroma. And then the finish comes from Kenyan black tea, which has an astringency and a depth that helps with the linger. And that's really quite important if you're having it with tonic water, for example. So those ingredients you would not typically find in a rum or anywhere near a rum, or even a gin for that matter. And the botanicals really are unique, and they're designed to complement the base.
Yeah. So how many botanicals in total do you have?
We have, like you're saying, 8, 9. Yes, 9. So we have tea, rose, hibiscus, pimento, mace, oregano,
Black pepper,
black pepper.
Madagascar vanilla.
I always forget the vanilla. And the reason I forget the vanilla is in most spice rums, vanilla is added to give the rum a sweetness. In our rum, it doesn't. What it does, it marries all the botanicals, all the flavors together. So when you taste our rum, you may not even know it's got vanilla in, and it's got a hell of a lot of vanilla in, as Pat knows, because it's very expensive. But what it does, it blends everything else together. It doesn't have a sweetness as you would traditionally have in a spice rum.
And oregano, you just wouldn't expect that in any kind of rum at all. Oregano I put on my pizzas or my spaghetti bolognese. That is a really, it's a funny one.
It's at a very low level. So if I removed it from the recipe, you might not notice that oregano was missing, but you would know there was a difference. So it's there as an accent rather than a flavor driver. Yeah.
And so you said that this wasn't designed to be a sipping rum. It's designed to be something which is a sophisticated rum to use in cocktails. Had you got an idea of where your perfect serve would end up, or is it like, oh, we want to have the perfect daiquiri, or is it some other idea? Where did you have that in your mind?
No, it was. We knew it was going to be used in a mixer, and the most common mixers for rum would be cola, ginger beer. So in some cultures, soda water. So we made sure it worked in those particular mixers, but we didn't really have a perfect serve in mind when we were developing the product.
Yeah, it's funny because as I've got to know the rum better, and we had that amazing tasting session at the distillery, and by the end of it, I was thinking, actually, I almost prefer this as a sipping rum. My palate had kind of got to appreciate the subtleties in it, and it wasn't exactly what I would expect from a golden rum. That the color profile. You're going, wow, this is a lot drier than what you'd expect. But then your palate gets used to it, and it actually starts to really come out of itself. So I actually really enjoy it as a sipping rum, which is, I don't know whether anybody else is experiencing the same thing on this evening, but I've really enjoyed it as a sipping rum. So that's fantastic. I think we've got a really good idea of where your influences came from, how you put it together. Did you ever have a really big bust up with Pat about what would go into it?
Did we? I don't think we did. No. We had lots of debates, but no bust ups.
No. You should just confect something. Now you're throwing botanicals at each other across the distillery.
I mean, Phil, you hit upon a really, really important point for us here. Is that when you develop these things, you do stumble across other things you haven't planned for. And we needed this to become a versatile drink. Premium, super premium rums. They're quite a small. It's quite a small but growing category. But we did need it to be able to be drunk. It's a simple mixed long drink, which is where all of the activity is happening. as a simple to mix cocktail, as a simple to produce cocktail, which Mikey has just done, a slightly more complex cocktail, which we're about to do, but then, as you say, as a sipping rum as well. And we've tried one or two other things as well. So having a really, you know, a broad range of drinks as part of our drink strategy is really, really important to us as well. So we're developing new drinks all the time. And, you know, we really are trying to sort of push how versatile this product is.
Yeah, I would definitely say I agree with you about the versatility of it. I think that it's way more versatile than I thought it would be. You know, I'm amazed at how it melds itself into quite simple cocktails. And I love the fact that when you sip it neat, you're not aware of the kind of botanicals, which are, you're not obviously aware of the botanicals. You're thinking, okay, it's rum first and foremost. But then if you just put a little bit of hibiscus in, you're like, ping, it brings out all the hibiscus, it accentuates that. And it's just this kind of flavor explosion, which I absolutely love about it. So yeah, well done, Matt. I think that it's an absolute triumph as a drink. And thank you so much for telling us all about it. We are now, I'm keeping everybody on time this evening. It's fantastic. Now we're going to go to our second cocktail. So hopefully it'll be without any technical glitches. And we'll swing round to Mikey at his amazing Technicolor bar. And we're going to introduce Mikey's colleague, Lawrence. And hopefully we'll learn a bit more about what Lawrence does, and then we'll make a cocktail, and they'll have a little chat about botanical rum. All good. There we go. So Mikey on the right, Lawrence on the left. And he notice that Lawrence has got his Market Row t-shirt on, or no, hoodie rather, which is way smarter than my Merry Christmas t-shirt. Can you hear us? Can you, oh, you're, yeah, I can. I can hear you now.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
You can hear us. You can see us. Everything's ready to go.
It's all absolutely golden.
Beautiful.
Absolutely
I just wanted to quickly give a shout out to Matt for naming 8 of the 9 botanicals in one go, because I have filmed myself trying to do that about 100 times, and I think my record is 7. So to get 3 of them, I just props to Matt. That's very, very well played. So yes, we are. I know you guys are probably very hungry or thirsty for your next drink. And I just wanted to introduce Lawrence first and foremost. So many of you who are here will know that before I started this job, I was working as the operations manager at Cotton Rum Shack. One of the biggest challenges working there during the pandemic. I left after the first lockdown, and in that time in between, I met Lawrence. And Lawrence has taken over from me and has been absolutely smashing it out of the park and putting all the work that I did to shame and making it look like I did a half job. So it's a real pleasure to have you here, man. Also, many of you will know him as his alias, the Rum Boss, the Instagram famous legend that he is. So it's a real pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you so much for coming in these strange times. And as I said, we were discussing this earlier, how my favorite drink is a daiquiri, and you were arguing rum old fashioned. So I thought, do you know what? I'll let you do the rum old fashioned today. So why don't you go ahead? I'll leave you for a minute. I know this is your expertise, but what we're doing right here.
So guys, I love a good rum old fashioned. You know, you got your sweets, your spirit, and your bitters. And if you know any bartender or even an old boy who probably is more on a whiskey side, but obviously we're talking about rum. An old-fashioned is just a very simplistic but yet an amazing cocktail. And we're going to do a twist on an old-fashioned using Market Row. And we are going to use a particular sugar syrup. What's these?
So it's a spiced black tea syrup, which I've made today. So you've all made this, so you know exactly what goes into it. So basically what we're doing is making a black tea concentrate. We've gone with Kenyan black tea because of the botanicals. The whole kind of idea behind the infusions that we're using today in the syrups is that they are connected back to the botanicals that we use in the rum. So not only do we have black tea, but you will have all received or ordered a pack of mace.
What is mace?
See, so mace, if any of you guys don't know, I learned this as well. I've never heard of it before. I always think of the stuff you spray in someone's eyes when they're attacking you. Is the cover, I believe, if Matt will tell me that's correct, the cover, which goes around the nutmeg seed. So it's kind of like a weird orangey, I think it's actually red when it's not dried, flower that wraps around it. And I'll tell you what, the first time I smelled mace on its own, I was like, wow, this is an amazing flavor. And it's so, like, how has this not been used in rum cocktails before? I'm sure it has, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying I'm the first person to do this, but that was kind of what we were going for, is that I'm sure you've all tasted Market Row on its own, and it's while it has quite kind of heavy flavors. If I were to make a rum old fashioned normally, I would normally use something around a kind of at least an 8-year, more like a 12-year kind of aged rum. And obviously with Market Row, we have a blend of 6-year rums up to kind of unaged rums. I will talk about that more after we've made the drink, but to kind of add a bit more kind of astringency and punchiness to it, I thought adding the black tea and making a really kind of thick, kind of big hitting syrup would just kind of bring it back. Because obviously classically, I would just love to make a old fashioned sugar cube rum ready to go. So I will leave it up to you, Lawrence. You show me your expertise.
So for all the bartenders out there, I know we would use a fancy mixing glass, but I assume we have a few people who aren't bartenders. So we're going to make it nice and simple in a whiskey glass.
We've been arguing about this all day.
Yeah, that's tea. So we're going to do obviously 5 ml of our syrup. Oh, this is quite thick.
Yeah.
Let's put this down. I'm going to do 3 dabs of Angostura bitters. Add a little bit of ice. And of course, our lovely Market Row. Now, the past couple of years, I've been very fortunate to work around quite a lot of rum institutions such as Trader Happiness, Rum Kitchen, and now, of course, Cotton's. And what I like about Market Row is the fact that, or rum in general, you know, there's different aspects, flavor profiles to rum. So when a new botanical rum has come along, and for a bartender such as myself, who loves to create new cocktails and just to bring something new to the table to offer to a customer, this is amazing. You know, you can do all sorts of twists. Think about even a Clover Club. You can do a Clover Club with the Market Row as well. We spoke about the daiquiri and old fashions. Mike, have you ever tried the Martini?
Martini,
yeah,
you know what?
Just to be ambitious.
You know, so there's a coconut rum brand, and the brand ambassador for that when I went to a masterclass was telling me that you can make anything with this coconut rum. You can make any cocktail, you can do a style of it. We're still very early days, and I can't wait. You know, we should try a Martini. Absolutely, if we're trying to, you know, I mean, connect this to a gin. Why not? We should. That's definitely next to my list. You know, first day of January, I'm making myself a rum Martini. By the way, guys, so in terms of stirring, so what Lawrence has done there in between is just he's added the sugar, he's added the bitters, he's stirred. With old fashioned, some people like it incredibly kind of strong and some of you will want to stir for longer and kind of lighten it down. So if you taste it, you know, oh god, that hits me in the face. Just keep stirring. That's the whole point of an old fashioned. Is it's about dilution, but it's about making sure that as you keep going, as you keep stirring, you're finding that perfect balance. And you're finding the point where you love it. And that's the beauty of making it for yourself rather than having a bartender make it. Because a bartender is going to make it how they love it. And that's how Lawrence does it. Lawrence does it strong. And man, it smells delicious. I'm jealous that I had the hibiscus daiquiri earlier. This is Lawrence all over. All right. So there we have. Go on, let's get a little shot. You tasting it, and then I want to talk a little bit more about the rum.
No, that's actually pretty good.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
You're getting all the botanicals coming through, which is very important, and that's what you really wanted out from the rum. As you're mixing in, adding different ingredients, you're still getting the profile of the rum coming through.
That's really important to me, because I'll tell you what, that leads on to, so I called up, so Lawrence has been kind of signed up to do this for a while, and I went to a masterclass for another rum that I want to talk about, which is kind of very steeped in history, and that's a lot about it is the kind of history of the rums, and there was a lot of what they're talking about. I called Lawrence and I was like, I'm kind of freaking out, because I know both me and Lawrence are working at Cotton's. Cotton's has a world record, it's the Guinness World Record for most rums in any site in there, not in Hillside. So I've got to taste more rums than I would say most people have, and that's a real privilege of mine. And I've sort of helped kind of write a sort of small encyclopedia for their website, and we've developed that in many ways together. But even so, I know that we have a number of brand ambassadors here tonight, and some of those are potentially the brand ambassadors for the rums that go into it. So those are Werby Park, Hampton Estate, Money Musk from Jamaica. Those are where you're getting your kind of big high esters from. Foursquare from Barbados, and a really interesting one I just want to talk about very, very briefly, which is Alcoholes Finos Dominicanos. I hope I haven't murdered that. It's Dominican sugarcane rum. So if any of you rum heads here, you'll probably know that sugarcane rum is also known as agricole in the French colonized islands. And it's a kind of unaged, very light rum. And the reason that we add that is it's kind of herbaceous, it's very kind of grassy and light. And if you were to try and add botanicals to and sort of the 12-year rum, it just wouldn't come through. The flavors are so strong there already that they just battle it away. And that's kind of where the perfect balance comes from. And Alcohol Filos Dominicanos has only been around for, I believe, less than 20 years. So it's a very young distillery, a very interesting distillery, and one that I really hope. One of the things that I really want to do with Market Row is to build relationships with the rums that we use, because I think a really important thing that we kind of spoke about was transparency. Yeah. And I was nervous because like, how transparent can we be? Because I know a lot about these rums that we've just discussed, but I'm very scared in this kind of video to talk about it in front of some of these people that are the kind of ambassadors for the UK for these rums. And I want to build relationships as well. I think one of the best things that I got from the masterclass the other day was when you were starting in Europe, especially a UK-based rum, something that isn't from the Caribbean, is transparency is so important. And people really want to know that. They want to know where it comes from. They want to be like, oh, it's a secret blend of rum with a secret blend of botanicals. We want to tell you everything that goes into this rum. We want to show you a map of where it comes from, where this comes from, how many years it's been aged. And as we go into the new year, we can start to bring people into this and run masterclasses and get you guys down to the distillery. That is our next kind of plan. And the words that kind of you stay with me when we were talking about it, you said, you don't have to worry as much about that. Yes, you're already celebrating those rums, but this is a contemporary rum. Those are the words.
I think what's quite important as well, you know, as a great mixing rum, it also stamps the identity of what Brixton is about, and you're putting that with the ingredients, which shows that you guys have been doing your homework and you're making a fantastic product as well. And one other thing as well, you guys don't add any sugar at all?
There's no sugar added, and I think that is obviously when you people always say, oh, you don't add sugar, it's made from sugar, but when you distill the base kind of molasses or sugarcane, the sugars actually don't come through. They're one of the proteins that when you distill, they stay down. So you're just getting the kind of clear flavors. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to kind of really truly define, which Matt has already kind of touched on a bit. It's like, what is a botanical rum? Because I think that's such an interesting thing, is that as we're talking about, it's a contemporary rum, but botanical rum is something that doesn't really exist in the world up until the last few years, I would say. And no one has defined what a botanical rum is.
So there's still no rules.
There's still no rules. That's it, exactly. It is, and technically, yes, botanical Market Row could be defined as a spice rum. We add spices, botanicals, and we redistill. But as soon as you put spice rum on the label, people are thinking vanilla, they're thinking cinnamon, they're thinking sweet, they're thinking a completely different flavor profile.
The basic flavor profile of a spice rum, that's pretty much what you're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. And this rum is so much a celebration of the rums that go into it in the first place. And then the botanicals come in and they are a kind of perfect marriage. They're subtle, but they complement the flavors that already exist within the rum, the esters, those sort of sweet kind of caramel, banana flavors that you're coming through. And then at the end, you're getting those floral notes of hibiscus. You're getting a little bit of vanilla, which comes from your kind of the wood from, or the bourbon barrel, which all of our rums are aged in. There's so many different.
I'm actually thinking of like a hot Christmas rum punch that you can make out of it.
I beat you to it.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah. I recommend it if you've got anything at home. Rum, apple juice, pineapple juice. Look at the list of botanicals that go into this. I'm sure you've all got it somewhere. If not, I will send something out to everyone at the end of the time. Look at those botanical things. What works in this? Chuck a few hibiscus, allspice, mace, cloves, all of these, a little bit of sugar. Heat that up to the apple juice, pineapple juice. And what's amazing about the hibiscus, you get this lovely pink color. And then you've got the rum and you've got a little lime juice, you've got some fresh slice of orange. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've just moved into a new house this week and we have been celebrating Christmas for like 4 days straight, drinking Market Row hot rum punch, and it is really delightful. So I do recommend it.
I didn't save any for you, sorry.
Mate, it's a pandemic. I didn't save any hibiscus daiquiri, but we got to stick to the rules. You know how it is. But I think one of the things that I also want to finish on is isn't it amazing? And this is one of the things we were discussing earlier, is that rum for me is, there's a lot of announcements in the kind of in the drinks industry about rum is the new gin or rum is the new whiskey. For me, rum has been around for so long. I think any serious rum drinker will tell you rum is rum, and rum is amazing. And rum is the most diverse and interesting spirit because there is white, there's dark, there's spice, there's agricole, there's demerara, there's solera, and you can taste. I can put 10 rums in front of you, none of them will taste the same. And isn't it amazing that almost 300 years after the someone's speaking in for a second, breaking the pandemic rules. 300 years after the first rum has been on record made, that a new category can come out. Because this is the thing, when we looked into botanical rum, I was like, what is botanical rum? And if you look at the kind of 6 brands that exist in the UK right now, you have spice rums with a fancy name on it. You have white rums that are used as the base spirit for a gin, basically. That's not to take away from any of the other rums that are doing what we're doing, but because it's this new kind of category, what I think is amazing about micro is it's actually something that is just, you've never tried anything like it.
It's pretty electric, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we can finish up there. I think that kind of rounds up where the message that we wanted to get across for micro.
Thanks so much, guys. That was really informative. And Lawrence, I wish I could actually just pop through the ether and have that old fashioned, because that looks amazing. Absolutely amazing.
We have Market Row at Cotton's Restaurant. So if any of you guys would like to have a cocktail, just come down to either we have one in Vauxhall, Notting Hill, Camden, and Shoreditch. So you're more than welcome to try an old fashioned.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. And folks, please, once the tier 3 is vetoed, get in there. It's our hospitality industry is absolutely being bludgeoned by what's happening at the moment. So please, please, please support as much as possible. I know I keep on banging on about it, but yeah, it's so important that we get our hospitality industry back on track once all of this nonsense finishes. Thanks so much, Lawrence. Thanks so much, Mikey.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks so much for organising.
We'll get one shot just to say hello.
Thanks so much.
Okay, we can't do that for social distancing. That's a very, very good point.
We're on to the Q&A now. But thanks so much for organising the sirens going outside as well. It was amazing. It gave that atmospheric.
It wouldn't be Brixton if that wasn't the case.
Brixton without those, right?
9 crimes beforehand to really get the sirens going to give you that atmosphere.
They're all fire engines. I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. And definitely we'll be into Cottons, and definitely I'll be ordering that Market Row old fashioned. Lawrence, which Cottons do you work in, Lawrence? So just so make sure that I get the right one.
So I'm the bar operations manager. So I cover all 4 sites.
Yeah.
And at the moment now, you'll probably see me either Vauxhall or Notting Hill, one of the 2 sites. But I'm pretty much everywhere at the moment.
He's like a unicorn. It's very rare.
Omnipresent.
Omnipresent. Like a full moon, and you've got to
Fantastic. Okay. Thanks so much. And Mikey, we are now going to go and speak to Pat and Matt for Q&A. I don't know whether there's some sort of
We're going to let them step
that
behind the bar to avoid any technical issues.
Yeah, good. There we are.
Seamless.
That was seamless. That was absolutely seamless. And no one realised you were in the same room until now. No one realised it at all. So I think from seeing the enthusiasm of people like Lawrence for the brand that you've got something special going on. I think that's undoubtedly so. Are you pleased with how people are talking about things so far, Matt? Well, sorry, Pat.
Yeah, no, so far so good. You know, the most important thing has been that people like the product, because we can fix everything else, and so far everything else is going well. But the fact is that we've had, you know, such a great response to the product. People enjoy it, and you know, my 20 years in the drinks industry so far, sometimes we forget that we're just here to produce great drinks that people enjoy. And so to have had a positive response back from our friends, from people in the industry, from people whose opinions we really respect, from the on-trade when we're able to talk to them, the fact that we've had such a good response to the product has meant such a lot to us as well. And it means it's, you know, it's a really strong, solid base for us to then move forward with.
And I think launching in very difficult times like this and having a real buzz about what you're doing, you know, once the on-trade comes back, it can only be, you know, even better than what's happening at the moment, which is, you know, you just, at the moment, it seems to be such a buzz about the brand, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we, like everybody, you know, desperate for it to get back, because it's not just the products, it's, you know, it's where you drink it, who you're drinking it with. But there's also a lot to be said for drinking at home with the family as well, which certainly, you know, us here have done quite a lot of as well. And, you know, part of what we got to do as well is to try and provide that level of inspiration through some, you know, loads of video footage and posting on our social media platforms about ways that you can enjoy it in a really easily understandable way, so that everybody can enjoy it as well. So that's our, you know, that's our challenge ahead. You just got to make the best of things as they stand at the moment. You know, we're not sitting here waiting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to work through some questions from what people have sent in. First off, probably to you, Matt. How did you get such a low sugar content into your rums?
All right. Well, I think, as Mikey may have mentioned earlier, whenever you distill anything, doesn't matter what you distill, there is actually no residual sugar in the distillate. So all the sugar is left in the pot. And the only reason rums contain sugar is because sugar's been added post-distillation. So the way we have 0 sugar in our rum is we don't add sugar after distillation.
Yeah, that seems pretty logical. So we've gone through what's the perfect serve. We know how you began, which is very important. We've already been through that. What is the next one? So, okay. Was it always your intention to make a golden rum rather than a white or a dark? If yes, why?
So that goes back to when we were selecting the blends of rums, and we were adamant we weren't going to have a highly matured rum, which would be dark, because we didn't want the barrel to take over the flavour. And we didn't want to have a white rum because we wanted to have a rum with some esters in it, some character. So we ended up with a golden rum because that was the best rum for this particular project. And we didn't even think about the colour. The colour just is what it is.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that. And moving on from that question, so you've got this botanical rum at the moment, which is, I suppose, like golden. Someone's asking, do you think you'll make a dark or white rum in the future?
I think we will experiment with other products, rum products, nothing other than rum, because that's the nature of the business. We're experimenting, and there are so many ingredients in that market we haven't touched yet. So we're bound to have some new products. Mikey's really keen to do an overproof. Yes. Yeah.
Can I jump on this? Can I scoot you guys down and keep in the social distancing rules? So one of the most exciting days that I've had since just starting this job in September was when Matt showed me that we have a mini still, which is so this big, which means that you can distill 1 liter of rum at a time. And I was like, what? I was thinking, God, if I want to try and make like a pineapple infused overproof rum with all of the kind of spices and botanicals that go into Market Row, what if it's terrible? What if I've just made 100 liters of dead product? And I was like, that's big kind of weight on my shoulders. And then finding this mini still, and kind of connection back to kind of where botanical spirits have come from in kind of gin. And there's a lot of famous gin brands that do kind of masterclasses where you go down and you make your own gin. And this is something that when I saw this still, I was like, my God, I want to get some of the, like, to start with, like a lot of the sort of London bartenders down to the distillery once the pandemic is over to make their own special Market Row, their version of Market Row. We lay out like a sweet shop of botanicals in front of them and say, make what you want, try something, and then give them the bottle at the end of the day. So you imagine there are like 20 different styles of Market Row that exist within London. And you have like the best bartender from Trailer Happiness who's come down, he's made his own rum, and he's so proud of it. And then you've got someone from Lucky Kane saying, you know what, that's good, but mine's way better, mine's got this in it. And then you're looking at every bottle. I just want, I think the really important thing with this being one of the first kind of, like I said, we are transparent and we are welcoming to the London trade, and it is about bringing in the London on trade and bringing in the bartenders and saying, like, be a part of Market Row, like we have done with Lawrence and I, but to do that with a lot of different, like, if you ask most bartenders down there, passion is behind rum. There's a huge following for it. So we really want to do that. I'm so excited once this pandemic is over to bring people down and have drinks down here, try some cocktails, show them the still, show them how we do things here, and get people involved, because it's a community run. That's the way that I always describe it. Brixton is a community and London is a community, and I think we need to bring people in to that community. I'll get out of the way again, leave it back to the professionals.
Sounded like a good answer to me, but yeah.
Sounded like an expensive answer, but no, he's absolutely right. It's very definitely, we want to involve people in this, and we are experimenting already. It's difficult to stop people experimenting because it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. So we've got another question here. Do you see a botanical rum as a possible bridge to win over the likes of gin drinkers?
I think yes, most definitely. The thing about gin drinkers is, well, not all of them, but many of them, they understand botanicals. They understand what goes into their gins, and quite often they also have a culinary bias, and therefore, if you've got a culinary bias and you understand the botanicals, it's a very easy stepping stone to enter into this product. Most gin drinkers don't particularly drink a lot of dark spirits, so it is an easy route into rum for them. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
No, I personally think it's an amazing segue into rum. It's got so much complexity. It's easy to mix with tonic, as we've seen, and it's not that kind of cloying sweetness which you get, which is so off-putting to probably, if you've got a palate which is used to juniper and dry notes, then going into big sweet spiced rum, it's a lovely segue into that. This is a big question here. So rum has been on the cusp of the next big thing for some years. Do you think it will get its time in the limelight? Over to you. There's a grenade of a question.
I really hope so, because there's so much. Rum's got so much to give. you know, the various different, you know, its origin, its, you know, production, its ingredients. It's still, you know, one of the reasons why I like it is why I like playing in the category, because it's a fun category. It doesn't have the preciousness that some other categories that I've worked in have. So I really hope so, because I think it's got a lot to offer. And, you know, anything that helps people enjoy spirits is what we need to do, you know, within the trade as well. So if we can inform, if we can inspire, if we can, you know, help people understand, you know, what they're enjoying, then I think that that's, you know, then we're doing our job. So I really hope so, and I do believe it. You know, we're seeing growth in premium, in super premium, in ultra premium. You know, we're seeing growth in all of those categories. So, you know, it's not just me hoping for that; it's actually happening.
Just a little fun question before we go on to another more serious question. So Electric Avenue, is that near you, or is it just what's the connection?
So Electric Avenue is 100 yards down to the right-hand side, and Electric Avenue has Electric Lane running off it. So we are actually on Electric Lane, okay, and the world-famous Electric Avenue that's got the fox and the grapes, and then the big neon sign that's got electric, is a stone's throw away. And it's where the market exists. You've got the outdoor market, then you've got, you know, fishmongers and butchers and greengrocers that are still operating by there, you know, every day of the week.
And do you remember when that song came out, Pat? Was it well before your time?
It was just a bit before my time, but of course it has given a name to our still, that Eddie.
Yeah, fantastic. So getting back onto the big subjects here, rum category, I find, is, you know, you've got whiskey, which you're used to, aren't you, from your days back at Pernod? You know, it's incredibly well established, very serious, lots of very serious people in it. You've got gin being the kind of, I suppose, the rebound category, where you've got millions and millions of people being involved and loving the category. Rum is somehow, I suppose, seen as maybe a bit more the party one, which has been neglected. And how do you think that Market Row fits in that? Because in some ways, I would say that gin is a female-dominated category, and you've got rum, which is maybe more traditionally a male party thing. Are you trying to make a brand which straddles both of those? Yeah,
definitely. It is, you know, in true marketing terms, it's gender neutral. We don't, you know, in fact, if you look at our Instagram profile at the moment, I'd say it's about 55% female and 45% male. You know, typically females have drunk, you know, the lighter light rums, and males have drunk sort of the more golden, darker rums. At the moment, we're transcending both, and that will be, you know, how we take it to market. That'll be, you know, part of its appeal.
Yeah, I think it's a huge challenge in a way, but it's a great challenge that you're taking on so many different things all at the same time. That you've got Botanical Rum, which, okay, you're not the first people to do that, but you're kind of pioneering a kind of community feel, and you're definitely not going down that route of it being this kind of party time, highly spiced route. So you're kind of having the sophisticated thing. So yeah, taking on a lot of challenges, but my goodness, it seems that they're resonating with people so far, which seems fantastic. So yeah, right. I've got a couple more questions. Yeah, another big one. What do you see as the upcoming trends in rum? Just a small one too, you know, just throw in there.
You know, I sincerely hope sipping rum gets bigger. because I think there's so much to enjoy with some of these rums. So it's it's not a very known part of the rum category. So I sincerely hope that that gets bigger. Matt, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that very, very high quality, very expensive rums will have its day. You see it in America already. Places like India and China haven't discovered rum, even though that sounds crazy because the biggest market for rum in the world is India, but they drink absolutely appalling rum. But they haven't discovered good quality rum, imported rum. I think they will get there. And then I think the trend in Europe and North America will be botanical rums and less sickly sweet spiced rum.
Yeah, I think we've got a long way to go in the UK from that perspective, haven't we? So, you look at different countries. We've got France, which is so used to agricole. We're just used to think dark, sweet, spicy. So it's a lot to get our own heads around when it comes to rum, the rum category in general. Okay, one thing we've got to cover off now. We have got a winner, and we need to spotlight them for the competition. So Charlie, talking to Charlie, he's going to got electric avenue. So sorry, electric. It was just electric, but yeah, well done. Raise a glass.
Thank you very much.
You're very good at spotting these things. Yeah, a bottle of Market Row will be wending its way to you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Right, back to you, Pat and Matt. I've got a couple more questions, and then I think we can either call it a day or wind down and start singing some Christmas carols. Right, Pat, I've got a question for you. You had you said 15 years in Pernod, a big, you'd managed some global brands with Pernod, and now you've come from doing that on a big global scale down to actually doing a startup. What have been the main challenges for you?
Everything. Everything. So it's just been an amazing journey. From the start, trying to develop something, an idea, testing it, making sure that the concept works with your people whose opinions that you respect, and then getting into the hardware side of things, the premises, the still, all the operational side of things. I spent most of my life as a marketeer, which is kind of the soft and fluffy, sometimes glam world. I've done very little of that so far. We've sort of handed that, over to other people to look after for the moment. As much as possible, we're still trying to sell, even in these difficult worlds. But alcohol is also quite a heavily regulated sector, and so understanding that and making sure that we don't fall foul of HMRC, food hygiene, local licensing, all of those kinds of things. Believe me, it was with some trepidation that I received a call from food hygiene the other day, and they said, "We're coming to visit you." Oh my word, we worked flat out to make sure this distillery was looking nice. Got through that. Although he did say I should take my food and hygiene level 2, which is I think another 20 quid out of the budget. But yeah, there's just so many operational things, and we've been helped massively by the people here in the co-working space, and I certainly couldn't have done it without these guys that are around me here today as well. So yeah, huge challenges. My business partner is away in France at the moment. He's there at the other end of the phone, but doesn't really play too much of a hands-on, but is always there to help shape the direction that we're taking, and provide a very sort of positive outlook to keep us going. And I tell you what, when those sales come through, every single one counts. You're used to, when you run a global brand, you're used to thinking in millions of cases, but single bottle sales mean an awful lot because it means somebody likes your product, and that's the most important thing.
I think that is. I can't imagine how it is for you because you're flipping round, aren't you? Being a brand owner, you're going through a huge process of having that actual passion about your own brand. You've thought it up, you've sweated it, you've pulled those barrels of alcohol up the stairs, you've gone sweated goodness knows what over those phone calls with the local licensing authorities, whereas you're so separated from that when you're running a big brand, and it's completely different worlds, isn't it? So it's,
and there's always there's always something that you want to tweak, there's always something you want to change, there's always something that you want to improve, and it's just a question of in what order they come, what's the most important thing to do, sometimes what's best to leave alone and let it run its course, and so there are all of those challenges as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up fairly quickly, unless either of you got a lot more to say to me or to everybody. For those people who haven't had a bottle of Market Row, so I know that there'll be some people on here who've signed up and won't have had it. If you go to our wonderful partners at Spirits Kiosk, we've got a code where you can get a discount. So I do believe it is, 1 second, I will get it to you. So yeah, it's a Row, ROW 15. I think that gets you 10% off. Or is it 5% off?
Probably 15, Phil.
15! I was under-egging it. Oh my goodness. What a screech. Sorry. But yeah, please, people, go. The Spirits Kiosk are fantastic. They'll get it to you. Toot sweet. Fantastic selection of drinks they've got on there as well. So, guys, thank you so much for the session this evening. It's been amazing, real insight. If anybody's got any last questions, I think I'm just seeing thanks so much. It's just lots of people saying thank you. Obviously, thank you to me for wearing my Merry Christmas t-shirt.
The Christmas jumper.
Yeah, I've just double trouble this evening. And by the way, guys, hint, I need a Market Row top hoodie. Those look amazing. So,
Phil, by next year, I'll get my mum to knit you a Market Row Christmas jumper.
A Market Row
with the branding. It'll look great. We'll have some reindeers about branding.
Right, let's make it a promise to people that I'll come back on with a Market Row.
We'll do it same time next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Great stuff. Thank you to everybody. Thanks to everybody who's come on. A very, very, very Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will see you in the new year.
Thanks very much. Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, bye.